Why do some people attract money consistently while others give up after just a few days of speaking affirmations? The answer is not luck, talent, or even spiritual knowledge. It is consistency with your words. The ability to speak to money every single day, regardless of how you feel or what your bank account shows. And let us be honest, staying consistent with prosperity declarations is hard. That is why you must train yourself to do it, especially on the days when you look at your bills and doubt everything Florence Scovel Shinn taught. In this teaching, I will help you break through your financial excuses, overcome the resistance that blocks money flow, and build an unshakable practice rooted in speaking to divine substance daily. If you are ready to stop restarting your abundance work and finally commit to commanding money for real, then this journey begins right now. Have you ever wondered why some people speak one prosperity affirmation and money appears, while others speak hundreds of affirmations and nothing changes? Is it because they are more spiritual, more gifted, or simply chosen by the universe? No. The real difference lies in one thing: consistent money conversations. And I am not talking about repeating words when you feel inspired, the kind of practice that fades after a few days. I am talking about a quiet, persistent discipline of speaking to money as divine substance that does not depend on emotions. Here is what Florence Scovel Shinn discovered that changes everything. Your word is your wand, but your wand only works when you wave it every single day. One declaration does not build wealth. 1 week of affirmations does not restructure your financial reality. But before we go deeper, I need you to do something right now. Hit that like button and comment below where you are watching from. And if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe now, because every single video on this channel activates your spiritual authority over money. This is not just information. This is transformation through consistent practice. Now let me show you exactly why daily conversation with money changes everything about your financial reality. Most people begin their prosperity journey with excitement. They write down money goals. They shout, "I am going to attract $10,000. They speak to money for 2 days, maybe 3. But then life pushes back. A bill arrives, a client cancels, someone makes a discouraging comment, and suddenly they stop speaking. They tell themselves, maybe this spiritual stuff does not work for money. Maybe I need a real job strategy instead. I am not saying this to judge you. I am saying it so you can forgive yourself and start again from a stronger foundation. That foundation is consistent communication with money as divine substance. Not because you feel like it, but because you are committed to being wealthy. When you speak to money consistently, you begin to build a new kind of trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in spiritual law. Every time you overcome laziness about your declarations, every time you keep a promise to speak, your wealth commands, even when your account balance mocks you. You are proving something silently and powerfully. I am someone money can rely on to receive it. And once money knows it can trust you to receive it consistently, everything changes. You no longer wait for windfalls. You stop depending on your mood to speak prosperity. You do not wait for motivation to command your wealth. You become the force that money responds to. Look at truly wealthy people who understand spiritual law. Look at those who have sustained fortunes, not just temporary windfalls. Do you think they wake up every day full of passion about their affirmations? Of course not. They have bad days too. They have moments of doubt. But the difference is, they still show up to their money conversations. They still speak their commands. They still declare their authority over divine substance. They take verbal action even when no one is watching, even when their bank account has not caught up yet, because they understand something simple but powerful. Repetition creates riches. At first, your declarations may seem unnoticed. You speak to money for a week and see no change. But think of a snowball rolling down a mountain. With every push, it grows. Consistency is that push. Without it, nothing accumulates. You might speak the right prosperity command today and see no deposit tomorrow, but speak it again the next day, and the day after, and again next week. One day, you will wake up and realize you are no longer who you used to be financially. You have changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in the quietest and most sustainable way possible. And here is something important about consistency with money words. It is not a gift some people are born with. It is a skill, a choice, a muscle you build. Just like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You do not have to start with 30-minute prosperity declarations. Start small. So small you cannot fail. 5 minutes of speaking to money every morning. 10 sentences declaring your wealth. 1 command directed at divine substance before you check your bank account. You are not doing it because you enjoy it at first. You are doing it because this is who you are becoming. A person who talks to money daily. A person money recognizes and responds to. Every small, consistent declaration sends a message to your subconscious mind and to the spiritual realm that governs wealth. This is who I am now. I am someone who commands money. I am someone who speaks to divine substance with authority. And when you repeat this identity-building practice enough, your brain begins to believe it. Your energy shifts, and then you start to act, think, and make decisions from that new financial identity. But let me be clear about something. Do not confuse consistency with perfection. You will miss a day. You will forget to speak your money command one morning. You will slip. What matters is not whether you never fall. What matters is how fast you come back. It is not I never skip my prosperity declarations. It is when I skip, I return the very next day without guilt or drama. You do not need to be the most talented speaker of prosperity commands. If you are more consistent than others with your money words, you will go further financially. That is a promise from Florence's teachings to you. And it is a promise you must make to yourself from now on. Every morning, remind yourself, I do not need inspiration to speak to money. I need action, and I will show up to my wealth commands no matter what my emotions say. Because if you keep showing up to your money conversations, you will surpass those who are smarter, more educated, or even more naturally gifted than you at manifestation. Life does not reward those who start abundance work. It rewards those who stay with it, and I truly believe you can be that person. If you have ever told yourself, I will speak my money affirmations tomorrow, or I just need a bit more clarity before I start commanding wealth, you are not alone. What you are experiencing is not laziness. It is your mind's defense mechanism when faced with the fear of disappointing yourself again. Uncertainty about whether this spiritual approach really works for money, or feeling overwhelmed by debt and bills. And perfectionism about your declarations, though it may sound noble, is often the most deceptive mask that procrastination wears. Left unchecked, both will silently steal your financial breakthrough, your energetic momentum with money, and eventually your confidence in your ability to prosper through spiritual law. I want you to understand one thing clearly. Procrastination is the silent thief of wealth. It does not scream, it does not announce itself, but it seeps into every small financial decision, keeping you in a state of, I will start commanding money someday. But someday never comes. Your bills do not wait for someday. Opportunities do not pause for someday. You do not need more time. You do not need a better financial situation to start speaking to money. You need to start right now with whatever you have from wherever you are. When declaring your financial authority feels scary or too bold, your brain will instinctively seek escape. Scrolling through social media to see what others are manifesting, watching videos about money instead of speaking to it yourself, eating snacks to numb the anxiety, or switching to easier spiritual tasks that do not confront your money story directly. That is not because you lack discipline. It is because you have not yet learned to reduce the mental resistance around talking to money daily. The key is not to focus on becoming wealthy all at once. Start with just 5 minutes. Say to yourself, I only need to speak to money for 5 minutes, and then I can stop if I want. Most of the time, once you begin your declarations, you will go far beyond those 5 minutes. The hardest part is not speaking the words. The hardest part is starting. Stop waiting for inspiration to talk to money. Motivation does not come before your declarations. It follows them. It is the act of speaking to divine substance, even the smallest declaration, that generates momentum in the invisible realm where wealth forms. Stop overthinking what to say to money. You do not need perfect words. You just need to begin the conversation. Say anything that establishes your authority. Money, I speak to you as divine substance under my command. That is enough to start. Another cause of financial procrastination is perfectionism about your prosperity practice. You hesitate to begin speaking to money because you fear not doing it well enough. You worry your words are not powerful enough. Your faith is not strong enough. Your spiritual understanding is not deep enough. But here is the truth Florence would tell you directly. Nothing excellent is born perfect on the first try. Your first money declarations will be awkward. Your first week of commands will feel strange. Your first attempts at speaking to divine substance with authority will sound uncertain even to you. Perfection is just an excuse to avoid the discomfort of being a beginner. Yet while you are waiting for the perfect words, the perfect morning routine, the perfect understanding of spiritual law, others have already started speaking to money. They have made mistakes. They have stumbled through clumsy affirmations, and they have made progress. You must pursue financial progress, not perfect prosperity declarations. Done is better than perfect when perfect never gets your bills paid. Creating artificial deadlines is another effective way to beat procrastination around your money work. Without a clear deadline, your mind assumes you have all the time in the world to start commanding wealth. Set a cutoff point. Tell yourself, by 8 a.m. tomorrow, I will have spoken my first money command. Remind yourself of this commitment. Share it with someone if that helps. Schedule it like a non-negotiable meeting with divine substance. If your focus is often broken by your environment when you try to do spiritual money work, take control of your space. Turn off notifications before your prosperity practice. Close unnecessary browser tabs that remind you of bills or lack. Clear your physical space so clutter does not scatter your mental focus. Place your phone in another room if needed. When your space is prepared for wealth conversations, your behavior becomes easier to direct toward those conversations. A simple but powerful strategy for overcoming financial procrastination is what I call the 2-minute rule for wealth. If a money declaration takes less than 2 minutes to speak, do it immediately. No delay. No, I will do it later. If your prosperity practice feels too overwhelming, break it into parts that only take 2 minutes to start. I will speak just one sentence to money right now. That is 2 minutes. Small actions reduce the mental resistance that keeps you broke. And repeated small actions build the momentum that makes you rich. You also need accountability in your financial spiritual practice. Tell someone what you are committing to speak to money about. Let them check in on whether you followed through. Knowing that someone is counting on you doubles the chances you will keep your word to yourself and to divine substance. Your environment shapes your money consciousness more than you think. Surround yourself with people who take action on their abundance work, not just talk about it. If you are constantly around people who procrastinate on their prosperity practices, you will absorb their energy of delay. But if you immerse yourself in a space filled with commitment to daily money commands and consistent wealth declarations, you will be pulled upward by that frequency. Choose your money environment intentionally. Procrastination around financial spiritual work feeds on excuses. I am not ready to command money yet. I am too tired to speak to divine substance today. Next week will be better for starting my prosperity practice. Every excuse sounds reasonable until you pause and ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen if I just speak to money right now? And then ask again, what will happen to my financial future if I do not start today? Picture the consequences of continued delay. 1 year from now, you are still in the same financial place. Same debt. Same limited income, same money fears, no progress toward the wealth you desire. Now imagine the reward of speaking to money today, confidence growing, your relationship with divine substance transforming, real financial shifts beginning to appear in your reality. Which picture makes you feel proud? Every time you overcome procrastination around money work and complete even the smallest declaration, you are rebuilding trust with yourself and with the spiritual law that governs wealth. You are proving that you are capable of sustained conversation with prosperity. This trust is invisible, but it is one of your most valuable assets on the path to riches. In the end, you do not need a massive money goal to transform your finances through spiritual law. You need a daily system of speaking to divine substance. Do not just say, I want to be wealthy. Say, I will speak to money for 10 minutes every morning before I check my account balance. Turn a financial wish into a scheduled conversation. Turn a prosperity dream into a daily habit of declarations. When speaking to money becomes part of your daily rhythm, procrastination loses its grip on your financial future. And do not forget to acknowledge yourself. Every time you push through resistance and speak your wealth commands anyway, pause and recognize what you just did. Give yourself a moment of appreciation. Celebrate with a deep breath of satisfaction. Speak a kind word to yourself. I showed up for my prosperity today. These small recognitions reinforce the behavior you want to repeat tomorrow. You do not have to speak perfectly to money. You just have to begin the conversation and then keep it going, day by day. Declarations become habits. Habits shape your financial identity, and your identity is not forged in the easy moments when inspiration flows. It is forged in the moments when you chose to speak to divine substance, even when it was hard, even when you did not feel like it, even when your bank account laughed at your words. Procrastination and perfectionism about money declarations only hold power when you stay silent and inactive. But the moment you speak, even one imperfect sentence to money, they lose all their power, and you become the most financially empowered, spiritually courageous, and consistently wealthy version of yourself. My friend, let me ask you a simple yet profound question about your relationship with money. What do you believe separates people who build lasting wealth from everyone else who struggles financially? Is it luck, talent, family connections, or favorable circumstances? I have observed financial patterns, reflected deeply on prosperity principles, and studied Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings long enough to realize it is none of those external factors. The true difference lies in something far more powerful and entirely within your control: self-discipline in speaking to money as divine substance. This discipline is the bridge between poverty consciousness and wealth reality. It is not an innate trait that some people are born with and others lack. It is a habit forged through daily practice, hour by hour, word by word, even in your most exhausted, directionless, or financially desperate moments. Have you ever promised yourself, "I will start my prosperity declarations tomorrow," only to come up with an excuse when tomorrow arrived? You are not alone in this pattern. Most of us have been trapped in this cycle at some point. But here is the truth that will set you free. Every time you break a promise to yourself about speaking to money, you chip away at the most important trust you will ever need for wealth building: the trust in yourself. Financial discipline is not restriction. It is not the removal of freedom or joy. In fact, discipline in your money conversations is the foundation of financial freedom. When you gain control over your daily declarations to divine substance, you stop being a slave to circumstances, to market conditions, to economic predictions, to fear-based decisions. You become the master of your financial destiny, and that feeling, that deep, steady sense of being in control of your wealth reality, is one of the most powerful and peaceful states a person can experience. So where does financial discipline begin? With the smallest acts of speaking to money. Do not wait for a grand surge of motivation or a perfect financial situation. Make your bed in the morning as an act of honoring order. Drink a glass of water as an act of self-respect. Get up when the alarm rings without hitting snooze. And before you do anything else, speak one sentence to money as divine substance. These seemingly trivial actions are the first bricks in building a solid foundation of wealth consciousness. Discipline in your prosperity practice does not come from inspiration. It comes from commitment. Commitment to doing what you said you would do with your money words, regardless of your mood. Commitment to showing up for your financial declarations, even on your darkest days, when bills pile up and hope feels distant. It is not about forcing yourself into misery. It is about choosing to stand beside the wealthiest version of who you can become. And then something remarkable happens in your financial reality. The more you keep your word to yourself about speaking to money daily, the more you begin to trust yourself with wealth. That trust becomes the fuel that feeds your persistence. And that persistence is what takes you further financially than talent, education, or luck ever could. When you train discipline in money conversations, you also develop a form of invisible power that Florence Scovel Shinn called spiritual authority. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not boast about manifestations, but it holds you steady when financial storms rage around you. It carries you forward when others have already given up on their prosperity dreams. It is the inner flame, small but unwavering, that lights your entire path toward wealth. This spiritual authority over money does not come from never experiencing financial setbacks. It comes from not letting those setbacks define your financial identity. You lose money and you speak your commands anyway. You face unexpected expenses, but you declare your wealth anyway. You see others succeeding while you wait, but you continue your daily money conversations anyway. Each time you do this, you forge stronger spiritual armor, more resilient, more grounded, more unmoved by temporary circumstances than before. Understand this clearly. Disciplined people in their money practice are not that way because they always want to speak to divine substance. They are disciplined because they decided to speak before emotions had a chance to interfere with their prosperity work. They do not wait to feel financially abundant before declaring abundance. They follow one principle. I speak to money daily because I chose wealth as my path, not because I feel wealthy yet. Do not confuse discipline with harshness or joyless rigidity. Training discipline in your financial spiritual practice does not mean abandoning pleasure or living a restricted life of constant affirmations. On the contrary, discipline gives birth to a deeper, longer-lasting joy, the kind that comes from knowing you are progressing toward financial freedom, growing in your authority over money, and mastering your relationship with divine substance. Maybe today you only spoke to money for 5 minutes. Maybe you only declared your wealth once. Maybe you only learned one new prosperity principle from Florence Scovel Shinn. But if you do that every single day without stopping, you will no longer be the same person financially within 30 days. You are shaping a new identity, steadfast in money conversations, solid in your declarations, unshaken by temporary lack or market turbulence or skeptical voices. And here is the secret Florence knew that I want you to never forget. Intentional repetition of money commands creates lasting wealth, not a single explosive affirmation session, not short-lived enthusiasm after watching a motivational video, but quiet, steady, conscious, purposeful repetition of speaking to money as obedient divine substance. That is the true foundation of sustainable riches. You do not have to become superhuman in your prosperity practice. You just have to be the one who shows up every single day to speak to money, the one who keeps promises to divine substance even when tired, discouraged, or still waiting on physical manifestations. Because financial results do not materialize overnight, but they always come to those who do not quit their daily declarations. Start today with this commitment. Do not try to transform your entire financial life in one session. Just choose one small action, one sentence spoken to money, one command directed at divine substance. Do it every day and treat it like a sacred appointment with your wealth. Soon, discipline will no longer be something you struggle to maintain. It will become part of who you are at your core. And when that happens, nothing will be able to stop your financial transformation. Not because you never feel fear about money, but because you speak to money even in fear. Not because you always feel strong and confident, but because you refuse to let temporary weakness make permanent decisions about your wealth. My friend, let today's action be a declaration of your new financial future. Let discipline in speaking to money be the gift you give yourself. Let each day be living proof that you no longer live by fleeting emotions about your bank account, but by a clear and powerful long-term vision of wealth. I believe in you, not because I am offering empty encouragement, but because I have seen people exactly like you, step by step, day by day, build fortunes that once seemed impossible, and now it is your turn to join them. There is an invisible enemy that always shows up the moment you decide to begin speaking to money consistently. Just as you sit down to declare your financial authority, start your prosperity practice, or commit to daily wealth conversations, it appears. Quiet, persistent, relentless in its whispers. It does not arrive with a fierce face or obvious opposition, but with familiar voices in your mind. You can speak to money later. You are too tired today for declarations. Start fresh next week when you feel more inspired. Tomorrow is better for beginning your prosperity work. Skipping one day of money conversations will not hurt anything. Florence Scovel Shinn would call this resistance. Resistance is not a one-time event you overcome and forget. It is an energy, a force that rises every single time you attempt something meaningful with your financial spiritual practice. And here is what you need to know clearly. Resistance to speaking to money never truly disappears, but you can outmaneuver it and win every single day. My friend, I am not telling you a fairy tale about unbreakable willpower that makes prosperity work effortless. I am sharing a truth that anyone striving for financial transformation through spiritual law has faced. Resistance is part of the human mind. It is not your enemy unless you allow it to take control of your money conversations. Resistance feeds on three things: delay in your prosperity practice, fear about whether this really works for wealth, and lack of clarity about what to say to money. The more vague your financial goals are, the more mentally drained you feel about your debt, the easier it is for resistance to pull you away from your daily declarations. So the first step to beating resistance around money work is not trying harder to force yourself. It is making your prosperity practice clearer, more specific, and simpler to execute. Do not write down vague intentions like, "I need to speak to money today." Write exactly this: "I will speak to divine substance for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning before checking my phone." Do not say, "I will practice prosperity affirmations." Say, "I will speak these exact 3 sentences to money immediately after I brush my teeth." The more specific you are about when and what you will speak to money, the less space resistance has to confuse and derail you. Next, lower the starting threshold for your money conversations as much as possible. Resistance is strongest when you are still thinking about speaking to money, but have not yet begun. It begins to lose power the moment you take action, even tiny action. Tell yourself this: "I will just speak to money for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes, and then I can stop if I want." But those 2 minutes are your first victory against the inertia that keeps most people broke. Sometimes simply starting your declaration is the biggest win of the day. And once you begin speaking to divine substance, you usually go much farther than 2 minutes because momentum takes over. Action, even imperfect action, is the most powerful antidote to resistance around financial spiritual work. Resistance also loves to deceive you with seemingly logical arguments. It makes you believe you have to wait until you feel completely ready to speak to money with authority. But remember this truth: you will never feel fully ready to command wealth. Your emotions fluctuate constantly. Confidence comes and goes. But commitment to speaking to money daily does not depend on feelings. Anchor yourself to commitment, not to your mood about your bank account. Also understand that resistance is clever in how it blocks your prosperity work. It does not just hold you back with obvious laziness. It disguises itself in seemingly reasonable logic. You should read one more book about manifestation before speaking to money yourself. You need to understand spiritual law more deeply before attempting declarations. You should study Florence Scovel Shinn's work a bit longer before practicing what she taught. But if you look closer at these thoughts, you will see they are just fear wearing the mask of preparation. The only way to break this cycle of eternal preparation is to start speaking to money imperfectly right now. Let your imperfect action lead the way. Learn what works through practice. Adjust your declarations as you gain experience. But do not wait for complete understanding before taking your first step, because that moment of complete readiness never arrives. Another critical strategy for beating resistance is identifying your personal patterns around avoiding money work. Observe yourself without judgment. What time of day do you tend to procrastinate on prosperity declarations? What specific tasks trigger your desire to escape into distractions? Who or what conversation tends to derail your commitment to daily money commands? Write down these weak points in your practice, then create counter strategies for each one. If you are often distracted by your phone during morning prosperity time, leave your phone in another room overnight. If scrolling social media derails your money practice every morning, delete those apps before bed and reinstall them only after completing your declarations. If working at home makes it hard to focus on speaking to money, go to a coffee shop for your prosperity practice. Every barrier you strategically remove brings you one step closer to consistent wealth conversations. Do not forget the power of emotional connection to your future wealth. Before you start your daily money practice, pause and ask yourself this question: how will I feel after I complete my declarations today? Connect the action of speaking to money with the feeling of satisfaction, peace, and alignment that comes from keeping your word to yourself. Your brain naturally seeks pleasure and avoids pain. When you connect your prosperity practice with positive feelings, you are using that natural tendency to move yourself forward instead of letting it hold you back. There will be mornings when nothing feels right. Resistance will feel like heavy fog over your thoughts about money. Your declarations will feel mechanical and powerless. Your faith will waver. On those exact days, hold to a single rule: just do not quit speaking to money. You may speak fewer sentences than usual. You may only complete half your normal prosperity practice. Your words may feel empty as you say them, but your presence at your money conversation, even diminished presence, is already a victory over resistance. Every time you take even one small step through resistance to speak to divine substance, you reinforce inner trust that compounds over time. My friend, remember clearly that you are not alone in this fight against resistance. Even the most financially successful people who understand spiritual law face resistance every single day. Florence Scovel Shinn herself faced it. The difference between those who build wealth and those who stay broke is not that successful people never feel resistance. The difference is they do not let resistance rule their daily decisions about speaking to money. They recognize the voice of resistance when it whispers. They feel its heavy pull toward delay and distraction, and they move through it anyway, bit by bit, word by word, with relentless determination to keep their wealth conversations alive. Do not waste energy waiting for a day without resistance to your prosperity practice. That day will never come. Instead, become the person resistance cannot break. The person who speaks to money on the hard days, not just the easy ones. The person who shows up to declare financial authority even when doubt screams loudly. The more you act despite resistance, the closer you move toward real freedom. The kind of freedom that liberates you from the very mental barriers your own mind has constructed around wealth. And one day, as you look back on your financial journey, you may not remember every small declaration you made, but you will remember that you never stopped speaking to money. You never quit your conversation with divine substance. That will be the moment you realize the profound truth. You did not just defeat resistance. You defeated the old version of yourself that used to surrender to it, and you rose into someone stronger, someone wealthier, someone who understands that consistency with money words is the master key to every door-marked prosperity. When people witness someone achieving remarkable wealth through spiritual practice, they often ask with curiosity and sometimes envy, "What is your secret? How did you actually do it?" And if that wealthy person understands the truth Florence Scovel Shinn taught, they do not talk about lucky breaks or perfect timing. They talk about habits, about systems, about the small, repetitive things they did with their words every single day, often boring actions, often unnoticed by anyone else, but quietly and powerfully responsible for lifting them from struggle to abundance. If you want to change your financial life permanently, do not start with massive goals that overwhelm you or elaborate plans that collapse under their own complexity. Start with one small action related to speaking to money. Repeat it daily until it becomes second nature, until it becomes automatic, until it becomes who you are. When you build the right money habits, you no longer need to fight yourself every morning about whether to speak your prosperity declarations. You simply move in rhythm with wealth. Your financial spiritual practice flows naturally like breathing. Habits around money are choices you once made consciously but have since programmed into instinct through repetition. You do not wake up and think, "Do I feel like brushing my teeth today? Should I brush my teeth or skip it?" You just do it automatically. It is non-negotiable routine. And if you build the right habits around speaking to money as divine substance, your financial progress becomes just as automatic and non-negotiable. But here is something you must understand about habits and wealth. Willpower alone is not enough to sustain your prosperity practice. Willpower is the fuel that helps you start your first declarations. It gets the engine running. But systems are the tracks that keep you moving forward consistently toward riches. Willpower depletes. It runs out by midday. It fails you on hard days. But a system, a well-designed structure for your daily money conversations, operates regardless of how you feel. This is where true transformation happens. You need to design a solid system for speaking to money. A system that does not depend on motivation or inspiration, but operates from pure commitment to your financial evolution. It works like this. Want to speak to money more consistently? Your system is declaring your wealth for 5 minutes every morning at 7 a.m. before touching your phone. The time is specific. The duration is clear. The trigger is obvious. You do not decide each morning whether to do it. You already decided when you created the system. Want to command more money into your life? Your system is speaking 3 specific sentences to divine substance immediately after making your morning coffee. The action is tied to an existing habit. It happens automatically. No decision fatigue, No room for resistance to sneak in and derail you. I am not asking if you feel motivated to speak to money today. I am asking, what system have you set up to protect your prosperity practice from the chaos of daily life? Someone without a system for their financial spiritual work, no matter how strong their initial enthusiasm, is likely to fall away within days when life gets busy or hard. But someone with a system for speaking to money, even if they move slowly, even if they only speak a few sentences daily, always returns to the practice, always stays connected to divine substance. And that is who ultimately builds lasting wealth through spiritual law. You may think a system will confine you or make your prosperity practice feel rigid and joyless, but the truth is exactly the opposite. A system gives you freedom. When you no longer need to make a decision each morning about whether to speak to money, you conserve precious willpower and mental energy for more important financial decisions throughout your day. A system turns things I should do into things that simply happen automatically, and you stop wrestling with yourself every single time resistance shows up to block your money conversations. Think about it this way. A writer does not always feel inspired to write, but if they have a system of writing at the same hour each day in the same place with the same ritual, the manuscript gets completed. An athlete does not always feel energized to train, but if they follow a consistent schedule that removes decision-making from the equation, they maintain their physical form and improve over time. Financial stability and growth come from systems around your money words, not from fleeting bursts of inspiration that fade when life gets difficult. So how do you build a system that actually works for commanding wealth through spiritual practice? First, start simple. Do not try to build 5 or 10 new money habits at once. That is a recipe for overwhelm and failure. Choose one thing related to speaking to money. Just one. Make it an essential part of your daily routine. Protect it. Honor it. Execute it without negotiation. Once that single habit becomes automatic, once you no longer think about whether to do it, then you can add the next layer to your prosperity system. Second, use what behavior experts call habit stacking for your financial spiritual work. Attach your new money conversation habit to an existing habit you already do automatically every day. The formula is simple. After I do existing habit, I will do new money habit. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will speak 3 sentences to money as divine substance. After I sit at my desk, I will declare my financial authority before opening my computer. After I brush my teeth at night, I will speak 1 gratitude statement about money to end my day aligned with wealth. Your brain begins to accept these sequences as connected. The existing habit becomes a trigger that automatically launches your prosperity practice. You no longer need effort to remember or force yourself to speak to money. It flows naturally from what you already do. Third, design your prosperity system to be failure-proof by planning for obstacles in advance. If you want to speak to money every morning but bad weather or feeling sick often derails you, what is your backup plan? Can you do your declarations from bed if needed? Can you speak to money for 2 minutes instead of 10 on difficult days? Do not let predictable obstacles break your wealth conversation rhythm. If travel disrupts your normal routine, decide now how you will maintain your money practice on the road. If house guests interrupt your morning quiet time, identify an alternative time or location for your declarations. Protect your prosperity system from circumstances that you know will arise. Fourth, always track your consistency with speaking to money. Get a simple calendar and mark an X on every day you complete your money conversations. Use a habit tracking app if you prefer technology. Keep a journal where you note each day's declarations to divine substance. The act of tracking keeps your commitment visible and real. When you see your streak of consistent days building, you will not want to break that chain. The visual evidence of your dedication becomes its own motivation to continue. And when you do miss a day, tracking shows you clearly so you can return immediately without letting 1 missed day become 3, then 7, then total abandonment of your prosperity practice. And finally, never underestimate the power of pure repetition in your financial transformation. At first, speaking to money daily requires conscious effort and constant reminders. You have to push yourself. After 1 month of consistent practice, it becomes easier. The resistance lessens. After 3 months of daily money conversations, you will feel something is missing from your day if you skip your declarations. The habit has rooted itself deep. After one full year of speaking to money as divine substance without quitting, people will ask you, how do you stay so consistent with your prosperity work? How do you maintain such discipline? And your answer will not be, I have incredible willpower or I am naturally disciplined. Your answer will be simple and true. I have a system. I have habits around wealth. Speaking to money is just what I do now. Systems and habits do not just help you maintain your current financial level. They help you grow far beyond what you thought possible. When you no longer waste mental energy on starting your prosperity practice each day, you can invest all your focus into improving the quality of your declarations, deepening your understanding of spiritual law, and expanding your capacity to receive more wealth. Every single day, you only need to do one thing well related to money. Speak to divine substance with authority. But do it right, consistently, without interruption. And you will be amazed when you look back at where you were financially 1 year ago compared to where you stand now. My friend, you do not need supernatural abilities to change your financial reality through spiritual practice. You only need to understand that wealth does not come from one heroic declaration or one perfect manifestation session. Lasting riches come from thousands of small repeated conversations with money that no one else sees except you and divine substance. And those conversations are habits. Those habits are nurtured and protected by systems. And systems, quiet but unwavering, are the pathway to any level of prosperity you choose to climb. I want you to picture something clearly in your mind right now. You are standing on a long road that leads to the wealth you desire. On either side of this road are tempting turnoffs. One path invites you to rest from your declarations and take a break from speaking to money. Another path encourages you to quit your prosperity practice entirely and try something easier that does not require daily discipline. And the only road that actually leads to sustained wealth has no flashy signs promising instant results. It has no cheering crowd telling you how great you are doing. It has no immediate rewards that make you feel successful right away. It only offers one thing: the opportunity for relentless repetition of speaking to money as obedient divine substance day after day after day. I am telling you this because somewhere inside you, there was a moment when you gave up on a financial goal, a prosperity dream left unfinished, a wealth vision never fully pursued, a money manifestation practice that once excited you but now sits covered in the dust of abandoned intentions. But here is what you need to know and internalize deeply. You are not lacking ability to build wealth through spiritual law. You are lacking belief in the power of continuation. You are lacking faith that showing up to speak to money today and tomorrow and the day after, even when nothing visible changes, is enough to transform your entire financial reality. And today, right now, in this moment, I want to help you reclaim that belief. Because the person who never gives up on their daily money conversations is not the strongest person, not the most naturally gifted at manifestation, not the one with the most spiritual knowledge. It is simply the one who endures, the one who continues speaking to divine substance when everyone else has stopped. The person who never quits their prosperity practice understands something profound. Financial success through spiritual law is not the reward for perfection. It is the reward for persistence, for showing up, for speaking even when your words feel powerless, for declaring your wealth even when your bank account contradicts every sentence you speak. They do not wait to feel ready before commanding money. They do not wait for signs that it is working before continuing their declarations. They do not wait to understand everything about manifestation before speaking to divine substance with authority. They simply continue, and one day, often when they least expect it, they surpass everyone who started faster, who seemed more talented, who once looked more likely to succeed financially. If you want to become that person who builds lasting wealth through consistent spiritual practice, you must change how you face financial adversity and doubt. Most people, when challenges arise around their money situation, retreat into silence. They stop speaking their prosperity declarations. They wait for circumstances to improve before resuming their wealth conversations. But those who endure, those who ultimately manifest significant riches, keep moving forward with their words despite fear, despite fatigue, despite complete lack of visible progress. They understand one simple truth that changes everything. The only way out of financial struggle is through consistent conversation with money. not around it or away from it. Quitting your prosperity practice brings temporary relief from the discomfort of speaking to money when you feel like a fraud, but it leaves long-term scars on your financial consciousness. The regret from not holding on to your daily declarations will quietly haunt you. Every time you see someone else succeed at manifesting wealth through the exact principles you abandoned, that regret will sting. On the other hand, every time you choose to continue speaking to money, even just one more sentence, even on the days when you feel nothing, you build inner resilience that becomes your greatest financial asset. You are proving to yourself and to the spiritual realm, I am someone who follows through with wealth work. I am someone who keeps my word to divine substance. So how do you cultivate this spirit of never giving up on your money conversations? First, eliminate completely the mindset of, I will just try speaking to money and see what happens. When you use the word try in relation to your prosperity practice, you have already given yourself permission to quit without feeling like you failed. People who never give up on their financial spiritual work do not try. They commit. They make a firm decision. They declare to themselves and to the universe, I will speak to money as divine substance every single day, no matter what happens in my external circumstances. This is non-negotiable. This is who I am now. Second, accept fully that boredom and difficulty are natural parts of the wealth-building journey through spiritual practice. There will be many days when you feel absolutely nothing as you speak your prosperity declarations. Days when the practice feels mechanical and dead. Days when you wonder if any of this spiritual law stuff actually works for money. But those are precisely the moments when your consistency matters most. Those are the days when your financial character is being forged in the invisible realm. Successful people who manifest lasting wealth are not always motivated or inspired about their prosperity practice. They just do the work of speaking to money regardless of how they feel. And by continuing to take verbal action when they feel nothing, they gradually regain momentum that turns into powerful financial growth. Third, learn to stay connected to your daily process of speaking to money rather than obsessing over outcomes in your bank account. When all you focus on is the end result, when you check your balance constantly looking for evidence that your declarations are working, you will easily become discouraged if manifestations do not appear on your preferred timeline. But if you learn to appreciate the journey itself, to value each conversation with divine substance as meaningful regardless of immediate deposits, you will not need external validation to keep going. The act of speaking to money with authority becomes its own reward. The discipline itself becomes the victory. And from that foundation of process-focused commitment, financial results eventually come as natural consequences. Those who never give up on wealth manifestation also know how to actively replenish their spiritual energy without abandoning their practice. They rest when genuinely needed, but they never use rest as an excuse to quit their daily money conversations entirely. They give themselves permission to speak fewer sentences on exhausting days, but they do not give themselves permission to go silent for days or weeks. They understand clearly that rest from intensity is wisdom, but abandonment of the practice is self-sabotage. They know that speaking to money for 2 minutes on a hard day is infinitely better than speaking 0 minutes. The connection to divine substance remains alive, and that continuous connection is what allows wealth to flow. And most importantly, people who never quit their prosperity work build a new identity around their commitment. They do not just say, I will try not to give up on speaking to money. They declare with full conviction, I am the kind of person who never quits money conversations. I am someone who speaks to divine substance no matter what. From that identity statement, all your behaviors naturally begin to align. You start acting like someone who is unshakable in their wealth practice. And with each consistent action each day, with each declaration spoken even when difficult, your belief in that identity becomes stronger and stronger until it is simply who you are at your core. Remember, you do not need to win every single day in your prosperity practice. You do not need every declaration to feel powerful. You do not need constant proof that it is working. But you do need to show up to speak to money every single day without fail. You do not need to always speak with passion or perfect faith, but you do need to speak, period. The person who never gives up is the one who tries again for the 100th time without bitterness about the 99 previous attempts that seem to produce nothing. They are not broken by apparent failures or delays. They are strengthened by them. They do not see setbacks as signs to stop. They see obstacles as feedback for refinement. You can be that person truly and completely. You do not need more spiritual talent. You do not need to be extraordinary or special. You do not need to prove anything to anyone watching your journey. You just need to keep speaking to money as divine substance. Stay in the practice. Do not walk away just because physical results have not matched your timeline yet. Because results in the spiritual realm are only given to those still standing, still speaking, still declaring their wealth when the final manifestation appears. I do not know what prosperity practices you have abandoned in your past. I do not know what money goals you gave up on. But I do know this with absolute certainty. If you choose to continue speaking to divine substance today, if you choose to resume your wealth conversations right now, your past has no power over your financial future. And if you are still here, still listening to these words, still open to this teaching, you still have the most valuable thing, a chance to become the person who never gives up on commanding money. A chance to prove to yourself that you can sustain a prosperity practice through doubt and delay and difficulty. Will you be that person? The choice is yours alone, but know that everything changes the moment you decide. I will speak to money every single day for the rest of my life, and nothing will stop me. You do not need another book about manifestation. You do not need another motivational video about prosperity. And you do not need someone to rescue you from your current financial situation. Because if you have made it this far in this teaching, something inside you has already shifted. Something real that wants to change. Something that no longer wants to live a life of financial delay, mediocrity, or dependence on circumstances. I am not going to promise you the journey ahead will be easy or comfortable, but I will tell you with complete honesty, it will be worth it. Worth beginning today. Worth enduring through the hard middle part. Worth rejecting every excuse that tries to stop you. Worth rising for your own financial sake. You will get tired of speaking to money some days. You will want to quit your declarations when nothing seems to change. You will have moments of deep doubt, questioning whether spiritual law really governs wealth, questioning whether your words have any power at all, maybe even questioning everything Florence Scovel Shinn taught about prosperity. But if you keep speaking to divine substance anyway, even just one more sentence, even in silence when no one watches, you will be doing what few people ever dare to do, living a financially empowered life on purpose rather than by accident. You do not need to change the whole economic system. Just change the way you speak to money today. Wake up 10 minutes earlier to declare your wealth. Write one prosperity statement before checking your phone. Turn off one financial worry thought and replace it with one command to divine substance. Or simply refuse to quit your money conversations one more time. I want you to understand this deeply. You do not fail financially because you lack ability or opportunity. You only fail when you refuse to start speaking to money again after stopping. And every time you choose to keep your wealth conversations going, even quietly, even imperfectly, you are rewriting the definition of who you can become. Remember this always. No one can live your financial life for you. No one can speak your prosperity declarations on your behalf. And no one can stop someone who is truly committed to daily conversation with divine substance about wealth. This world does not need more perfect people with flawless manifestation techniques. It needs you, your authentic voice speaking to money, your persistent words even when they feel weak, your commitment to continue even when results hide. And if there is one thing I hope you take away from all of this teaching, from these 9,000 words we have journeyed through together, it is this. Every single moment is a chance to begin speaking to money again. Not tomorrow when you feel more ready. Not next week when your situation improves. Not next month when you have studied more about spiritual law. Right now, this moment, begin again. Speak to money as divine substance under your command. Declare your wealth even if your voice shakes. Continue your prosperity practice even if you stopped yesterday. Because the power to transform your financial reality lives in your consistent words. And that power activates the instant you decide to use it without waiting for permission or perfect conditions. Your word is your wand, but only if you wave it, every single day, starting now.